Have you ever tried to repeat English exactly at the same time as a native speaker? It feels strange, almost ridiculous, I know, but this strange exercise is one of the fastest ways to rewire your English brain. Hey everyone, welcome back to Steps to Fluency, the English podcast for real conversations, real progress, and, starting today, a technique that is going to change how you practice. I'm Lucy.
And I'm Jack. And Lucy, I've been waiting for this episode for a while because last week you promised something. You said, we use this podcast every week, but most people don't know how to use it in a way that actually trains both sides of their English at once. And today, you're going to show them how.
Today, I'm going to show them how. Yes, it's called the shadowing method, and it is completely free. You don't need an app, you don't need a course, you don't need a teacher. You need audio in English, which you already have right now in your ears.
There is a side effect of the shadow method that almost nobody talks about. Lucy only discovered it after weeks of practice, and it surprised even her. We'll get to it before the end of this episode. Okay, but before we get into the method, Lucy, when did you first discover this? Because I know there's a story behind it.
There is a story, and it starts with me looking very strange in a supermarket.
I love this already. But first, quick check-in. How are you this week?
Good. Busy. I've been using the method myself this week, actually, practicing what I'm about to teach, and my brain is a little tired in the best possible way.
Good tired is the best tired. Okay, and before the story, if you are new here, welcome to Steps to Fluency. Every week, Lucy and I share real techniques and honest stories about learning English. If this episode helps you, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with one person who wants to improve their English this week. Lucy, the supermarket. Go.
Okay, so this was about 3 years ago. I was studying a second foreign language, not English, a different one, and I was completely stuck. I could read reasonably well, I could write basic sentences, but when I heard native speakers talking, completely lost. Same fluency gap we talked about last week. And a teacher I respected told me, try shadowing. It will feel ridiculous. Do it anyway. So I looked it up, and the basic instruction was find audio in your target language, press play, and speak along with it out loud at the same time, trying to copy the voice as closely as possible, the speed, the rhythm, the sounds. I tried it at home alone, and yes, it felt completely ridiculous. I was mumbling along with a voice on my phone, trying to keep up, getting lost, starting again. It felt like the least productive thing I had ever done for language learning. Once, I was listening to audio on headphones at the supermarket. Then I started doing shadowing in a low voice as I walked through the aisles. A person passed by and looked at me. Then I realized I had been muttering among the cereal shelves. Actually, I was doing shadowing in a low voice while shopping. To anyone passing by, it looked like I was talking to myself. That was exactly when I realized I was using the method without even thinking about it. It had become automatic.
Ha! Somebody saw you!
Somebody saw me, and I realized two things at exactly that moment. First, I was embarrassed. Second, I hadn't noticed I was doing it. And that second thing, not noticing, that was the important part. It had become automatic, natural. My brain had started reaching for the foreign language sounds without me consciously telling it to. That's when I understood what the method was actually doing. And that's when I started using it for English as well, for my students, for myself. And I have never stopped. It became automatic. I didn't notice I was doing it. That's not a small thing. That's exactly what fluency feels like. And the shadow method is what builds it. There's a version of this method that anyone can do alone, at home, with no equipment in 10 minutes a day. It works at every level, from A2 to C1, and it trains speaking and listening at exactly the same time. We'll show you the exact steps in a few minutes. I discovered the method by accident in a foreign language I was learning, but the science behind why it works is even more surprising than the story. And Jack has a question that goes straight to it.
Okay, before we get into the how, I want to understand the why. Because when Lucy described it to me for the first time, I had a very simple question.
Why does speaking along with something help you understand it better? Those feel like two separate skills.
They feel separate, but they share the same root. Let me give you a picture. Imagine your English brain as a recording studio. On one side, you have the recording booth, that's your speaking. On the other side, you have the mixing desk, that's your listening and comprehension. Most learners practice only one side of that studio. They record their own voice, they practice speaking, pronunciation, vocabulary. Or they sit at the mixing desk, they listen to podcasts, watch films, do comprehension exercises. But almost nobody practices both at the same time, in the same session, on the same material. That is exactly what shadowing does. What exactly changes in your brain during shadowing in a way that regular listening or regular speaking practice doesn't produce? The answer connects to something called the phonological loop, and it explains everything.
So what is happening in the brain when you shadow?
Your brain has a small sound memory, like a tiny echo. When you shadow, that echo becomes active. You hear the sound, you repeat the sound, you compare the sound. That loop is how your brain learns rhythm and chunks. Think of it as a very short memory buffer that holds sounds for just a few seconds while your brain processes them. During normal listening, that loop processes sounds passively. It hears, it decodes, it moves on. During shadowing, the loop is forced to do something more demanding. It has to hear the sound, hold it, reproduce it through your voice, compare it to the original, and adjust, all in real time. That process, hear, hold, reproduce, compare, adjust, is one of the most powerful memory encoding sequences that exists for language. It is why actors learn lines faster by saying them aloud than by reading them silently. It is why musicians learn pieces faster by playing along with a recording than by studying the score. And it is why shadowing builds fluency faster than almost any other solo practice method.
So, what changes in the brain during shadowing? The phonological loop is activated in active mode, hear, hold, reproduce, compare, adjust, instead of passive mode. This sequence encodes sounds, rhythms, and chunks into long-term memory dramatically more efficiently than listening or speaking alone. It trains the ear and the mouth at the same time, because they're both working on the same sounds simultaneously, right?
Exactly. And there's one more thing that makes it especially powerful for the fluency gap we talked about last week. When you shadow, you're not just copying words, you're copying rhythm, speed, intonation, the way sounds connect and reduce. Gonna, wanna, didja, I dunno, lemme. When you produce those sounds with your own voice, when you feel them in your mouth, your ear starts to recognize them in other people's speech almost immediately because you've made them yourself. They're no longer foreign sounds, they're yours. Jack tried the shadow method for 3 days and stopped. The reason is the most common mistake learners make, and it almost made him give up on the method entirely. We'll get to it after the practical guide. Shadowing is not practice for speaking, it is practice for thinking in English. Now you know what it is and why it works. What you need is the exact daily practice, step by step, minute by minute. Simple enough to start today, powerful enough to feel different by the end of the week. Okay, the practical guide, and I'm going to give you 3 levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Not because you have to do all 3, but because I want you to find exactly where you are and start there. No step too big, no step too small. And before we start, if you've never done shadowing before, the first session will feel strange, almost uncomfortable. That's completely normal. It means your brain is being asked to do something new. Stay with it for at least 5 minutes. The strange feeling fades. What replaces it is focus. Level 1 for A1 and A2 learners, the whisper shadow. Find any short English audio you enjoy. A song, a simple podcast, this episode. It doesn't need to be difficult. In fact, the easier the better at this stage. Press play and whisper along. You don't have to understand every word. You don't have to keep up perfectly. Just let your mouth follow the sounds. 3 minutes. That's your level 1 practice. Every day. You are not learning words right now. You are training your mouth and your ear to move together, like stretching before a run. The run comes later. Everyday scene, level 1. Morning routine. Coffee in hand, phone on the counter playing this episode, whispering along while getting ready. Nobody can hear you, nobody is watching. Your brain is already building new pathways.
Okay, what about someone who is already at B1 or B2? Someone who already follows podcasts, already understands films at normal speed most of the time.
Level 2, for B1 and B2 learners. The full shadow. Same idea, but now you speak at full volume, not whispering, actually speaking, trying to match the voice you hear as precisely as possible. Speed, rhythm, pauses, reductions, everything. Here's the key. Don't slow the audio down. Native speed, normal speed, even if you can't keep up at first. That gap between what you hear and what you can produce, that's where your fluency is growing. Start with 60 seconds, then 2 minutes, then 5. Build gradually. The best material for this level? Podcasts with transcripts, because after you shadow, you can check, did I hear that correctly? Was my pronunciation close? Where did I lose the rhythm? Everyday scene, level 2. Commute. Headphones in, this episode playing, speaking along quietly enough not to bother anyone, but out loud enough that your mouth is actually moving. The person sitting next to you might give you a look. That's okay. You're doing something they have probably never tried.
And for more advanced learners, B2 and above?
Level 3, the precision shadow. Same as level 2, but you add a layer. You record yourself. Shadow a 30-second segment, then play back your recording next to the original audio. Listen to both at the same time, your voice and the native speaker's voice. The differences you hear, those are your targets. Not mistakes to feel bad about, targets to aim for. Maybe your rhythm is slightly off. Maybe a reduction isn't quite connecting. Maybe your intonation drops where it should rise. Each session, pick one thing, just one. Work on that. One session, one target. Everyday scene, level 3. Evening, sitting at a desk. 30 seconds of audio. Shadow it. Play it back. Compare. Notice one thing. Shadow it again. Close the laptop. Done. 10 minutes. That's it. Tomorrow, one more target. 3 levels, 10 minutes a day, one audio source you already have, and by the end of the first week, your ear will hear English differently. Not because you studied more, because you trained differently.
I want to ask something practical. What audio should people use? Because I think a lot of learners will wonder, do I need special shadowing content?
This is one of the best things about the method. Any audio works. This podcast, a YouTube video, a film scene, a TED Talk, a song. The only criteria, it should be natural English, spoken at normal speed, by someone whose voice and accent you find pleasant to listen to. Because you're going to be listening to it many times, and you're going to be copying it. So choose a voice you enjoy. Personally, I always recommend starting with a podcast that has a transcript available, because the transcript lets you check yourself after shadowing. And if you want a very simple starting point, this episode, right now, you're already listening. You already like the material. Tomorrow morning, play it again and whisper along. That's your first session. Done. And don't worry about sounding like the person you're shadowing. The goal is not to lose your accent or sound like a native speaker. The goal is to train your ear and your mouth to move together in English rhythm at English speed. Your voice stays yours. Your fluency grows.
Okay, my turn. And this is a little embarrassing. When Lucy first explained this method to me, I tried it 3 days in a row. Day 1 felt strange but interesting. Day 2 felt harder than day 1, which confused me. Shouldn't it be getting easier? Day 3, I couldn't keep up with the audio at all, got frustrated and stopped. And I told Lucy, It's not working. I'm getting worse, not better.
And what did I tell you?
You told me I was using audio that was too difficult. I had started with a fast-paced news podcast, native speaker, very fast delivery, complex vocabulary. You said that's like going to the gym on day 1 and trying to lift the heaviest weight in the room.
The most common mistake in shadowing is starting too hard. People find audio they enjoy, which is often content for native speakers at native speed on complex topics, and they try to shadow that from day 1, and it feels impossible, so they stop, and they think the method doesn't work. But the method works. The audio was wrong. Start with something where you already understand at least 70%, where the speed feels fast but not impossible, where the vocabulary is mostly familiar. As you get better, and you will quickly, you move to harder material, but the entry point matters enormously.
And for me, once I switched to a slower podcast, one with a clearer voice and simpler vocabulary, the difference was immediate. Day 4 felt nothing like day 3. The method wasn't wrong, the audio was. Start with content where you understand 70% or more. The entry point is everything. Get that right, and the rest follows naturally. I made the most common mistake and almost gave up. But the people who stay with the method long enough discover something else, something Lucy mentioned at the beginning that nobody talks about, the side effect. And it's time to close that loop.
Okay, the side effect. And I've been thinking about how to describe this for weeks. When you shadow someone's voice, really shadow it, consistently over time, something starts to happen that has nothing to do with vocabulary or grammar. You start to feel comfortable inside the language. I know that sounds vague. Let me be more specific. Before I used this method, speaking English always felt like putting on a coat that wasn't quite mine. I could wear it, I could function in it, but I was always aware of it. It never felt completely natural. After weeks of shadowing, copying rhythms, copying intonation, copying the way sounds connect, something shifted. I stopped noticing the code. English stopped feeling like something I was doing and started feeling like something I was being.
That's a remarkable way to describe it. The coat you stop noticing.
And I think it happens because shadowing gives your brain a physical memory of the language, not just a mental one. You've heard the sounds, you've made the sounds, you felt the rhythm in your own chest. And that physical memory, the way the sounds feel in your mouth, that is what makes a language feel like yours. Not study, not flashcards, not grammar exercises. The feeling of English moving through your own voice. Shadowing is not practice for speaking. It is practice for thinking in English. And if English still feels like a coat that isn't yours, that's okay. That's exactly where most learners are. It doesn't stay that way. It changes with practice. And the shadow method is one of the fastest ways to change it.
All right, let's go to word tour time. Great words from today. Let's look at them together.
All of these came from today's explanation, or today's stories. Shadowing, a language learning technique where you speak along with audio at the same time, copying the voice as closely as possible. Example, I tried shadowing for the first time and it felt strange. By the end of the week, it felt completely natural. Phonological, related to the sounds of a language, how they are produced, organized, and perceived. Example, shadowing activates your phonological loop, the part of your brain that processes and stores sounds in the short term. Intonation, the rise and fall of your voice when you speak, the musical pattern of a language. Example, English intonation is very different from my language. Shadowing helped me feel the difference in my own voice. Automatic, when something happens without thinking, naturally, without effort. Example, after weeks of practice, the sounds became automatic. I didn't have to think about them anymore. Buffer, a temporary space that holds something, in this context, the short-term memory space that holds sounds while your brain processes them. Example, Your phonological loop is like a buffer. It holds sounds for a few seconds so your brain can work with them. Consistently, doing something regularly in the same way, every day, not once, not sometimes, but always. Example, the method only works if you use it consistently. 10 minutes every day beats 1 hour once a week. One word, one sentence. Say it out loud, right now, in English. That's your practice for today. Bonus points if you shadow the sentence back to us in the comments. If phonological felt very advanced, don't worry. You don't need that word to use the method. You just need your ears, your voice, and 10 minutes. Everything else is optional. Everything you need to start shadowing in English today is already in your hands. Here are your 4 steps: specific, simple, and ready right now.
Okay, your steps. Clear and simple.
Step 1. Choose your audio, something you already enjoy, in English, where you understand at least 70%. This episode works perfectly if you're at B1 or above.
Step 2. Choose your level. A2 or below, whisper along for 3 minutes. B1 or B2, speak at full volume for 60 seconds to start. B2 and above, shadow and record, then compare.
Step 3. Do it tomorrow morning, not next week. Not when you find the perfect audio. Tomorrow, first session, 5 minutes maximum. Just begin.
Step 4. Do it again the day after and the day after that, consistently. The method builds on itself. Day 3 will feel different from day 1. Day 7 will feel different from day 3.
And one last thing, be patient with the strange feeling. It will pass. What it leaves behind is the feeling of English moving through your own voice. That feeling is worth every weird moment in the supermarket.
Quick recap. Everything from today.
The shadow method is a free technique where you speak along with English audio at the same time, copying the voice, the rhythm, the speed, and the sounds as precisely as you can.
It works because it activates the phonological loop in active mode. Hear, hold, reproduce, compare, and adjust. This builds sound memory faster than listening or speaking alone.
3 levels: the whisper shadow for A1, A2, the full shadow for B1, B2, and the precision shadow for B2 and above.
The most common mistake: starting with audio that's too difficult. Start where you understand 70%. Move up as you improve.
The side effect nobody talks about: after consistent practice, English starts to feel like yours, not a coat you put on, something you're being. Shadowing is not practice for speaking, it is practice for thinking in English. One question, and this time we want you to actually try something before you answer it. Here is today's challenge, and it's a real one. Shadow 30 seconds of this episode, right now or the next time you listen to it. Just 30 seconds. Whisper along or speak out loud, whatever feels right for your level. Then come back and tell us in the comments, how did it feel? Strange? Surprisingly natural? Did you notice something about your own English that you hadn't before? We read every comment, and your experience might be exactly what another learner needs to hear before they try it themselves.
And if this episode gave you something new, a technique, a reason to try something different, a way to use English differently tomorrow, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with one person. Especially someone who says, I study a lot, but I don't feel like I'm improving. This episode is for them.
You just spent 30 minutes doing English listening and speaking practice because you listened, and if you tried any shadowing, you spoke too. That is not nothing. That is exactly what consistent English practice looks like.
This was Steps to Fluency with Lucy and Jack. One more thing before you go. Lucy talked about that feeling, English feeling like yours, like something you're being rather than something you're doing. And here's a question we get a lot connected to that.
I'm improving. I can feel it. My listening is better. My speaking is more comfortable. But I still freeze when someone puts me on the spot, when someone unexpected asks me something in English and everyone is waiting for my answer. The improvement is real, but under pressure, it disappears. Next week, we talk about exactly that. Why fluency under pressure is a different skill from fluency in comfortable situations, and how to train specifically for the moments that matter most.
It's called the pressure gap. And if you've ever felt perfectly fine in English until the moment it actually mattered, next week is for you. Subscribe so you don't miss it.
See you next week, and until then, shadow something, even 30 seconds. Start small, stay consistent, let the method do the rest.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, take care.